I'm Mixie Casanova, and I'm joined here today with our newest member and our last member to our flock, a black Lori. We don't have a name for him yet. It is a male, but once we do, then I'll introduce him to you guys. Or if you guys can think of any names for a nice, beautiful black bird, that would be great. Right? So today I want to talk to you about the Lori/Lorikeet diet, nutrition. I'm going to be very clear. I'm still very new to this. I am learning. I'm like a sponge, absorbing everything. Let me just go over his diet. First off, if you go to my blog, which is www.parentingparents.com, you will see me talk about Rowdy Bush nectar. Rowdy Bush is not all natural. If you guys know me, or if you listen to my previous post about nutrition for regular parents, I like all natural stuff, and Rowdy Bush is not all natural. I wasn't a fan of the consistency. I didn't like it at all. I thought, yeah, it wasn't for me. The birds ate it fine, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the smell. I didn't like anything. I've never tried him with Rowdy Bush. This is for just when I have the green names. I left Rowdy Bush, and I tried Harrison's. If you guys were watching the previous video, you would have seen that I mentioned Harrison's a lot because all my other parents are on it. Harrison says Lori's on there. So I tried Harrison's. However, something about the Lori's is that they have iron storage issues. So if they have iron storage issues, and Harrison promotes that their food is for all parents that don't have iron storage issues, then how could their food be for both? Maybe somebody out there can educate me on this, but as far as I was concerned, I didn't think it was a good idea. I wasn't quite sure, so I was still giving it every now and then. Like if I would run out of the nectar food, I would give the Harrison's. And what I did is I did Harrison's with hot water with corn syrup, which is exactly what Harrison says to do. The man who I started talking to that had this black Lori, the breeder, he educated me a lot. Like, my heart has so much love for this man. It's amazing right now because he's about 70 years old, he told me, and he is the only breeder, and I'm going to be honest, he's the only breeder that has ever come back to me and asked me for pictures, told me how much he misses the bird. For me, because I'm fairly new, I usually only stick with, where are you going? Go, I'm back up here. I stick with what I know, which is nectar, which is the nectar, and like now I'll do eggs and fruits and veggies. Sorry, he came down. I'm going to try and get him back up for you guys. He doesn't really know step up, so it's hard. I've only had it for like a month. Step up. He doesn't really know step up, so we're still learning, like I said. Anyhow, let me get on to the diet. So, first off, fruits. For a black Lori, I'm told that fruits are more prominent to have in their diet than anything else, like the veggies. Whereas in my green apes, they can definitely do the fruit and veggie, right? So that's something to take into consideration. Depending on the type of Lori, they might take more fruits, they might take more veggies. Who knows? So I do fruits and veggies for them. So I give him little chunks of fruits. When he's outside of the cage like this, if I'm doing training, he gets wet nectar, and it's just the nectar powder mixed with water. And that's how I give it to him. Or I'll just give him the fruit mix with no nectar in it, and that's how I'll train him with those two items. And that works for him. For the green ape's not like that. The green ape doesn't want the fruit and veggie mix alone. He will only have it with the nectar, which is fine. So a little story behind that is my green ape would not take veggies at all. Like, would not take veggies. And I didn't know what to do. So when he came along, I finally started doing the smoothie mix, which was fruit mixed with veggies. Once I did that, my ingredient took it with no problem. I was like, what? This is all I had to do all this time? This is all I had to do all this time to get him to eat fruits or veggies, I mean. But I gave him the baby food, but he didn't want it, right? And I did mix the nectar, but he didn't want it. So 50% and 50% is what I do together. 50% fruits and veggies, 50% nectar, put it together, give it to them, and they are good to go. Trading wise, I use wet nectar, which is what he's eating here. I don't know if he finished it. No, he didn't. Ah. I don't even know if you can see. Oh. Yeah. So, yeah. I just spilled his wet nectar. So, yeah. I just spilled it. So here's, yeah. Anyways, wet nectar is what I give him training-wise. Okay, sorry, I'm getting off track. Okay, so anyways, Harris's, I talked about it on my blog. I talked about Rowdy Bush. I've since stopped feeding those. I've also talked about bread with jam. I thought it was okay, the bread with the organic jam on top, because all he would do is like lick off the jam. However, I was also educated against that by the Lorikeet group that I'm on in Facebook. They said not to do it. So I've only given it to my Lorikeets once or twice. I haven't given it to this guy, but I've stopped. So I'm kind of like, what do I feed a lorikeet? What do you feed a lorikeet? Like, I have no idea. Or a lorry, what do you feed them? Besides fruits, veggies, and nectar. So I've literally stuck with fruits, veggies, and nectar most of the time. However, I just learned that, yes, they can have eggs. So when I make scrambled eggs and stuff, scramble it in coconut oil and give it to them. Boiled egg, etc. Just don't give them the shell. So like with the other parrots, I give them the shell. With the lories and lorikeets, because they cannot have anything hard, I will not give them the shell. Also remember that when it comes to seeds. I see people trading them and giving them seeds. No. Please. I'm not a critic where I'm going to tell you how to feed your parrot, because it's just like kids. What you decide to feed is your prerogative. It's your choice. But these guys are used to taking a flower and just sucking out the juices. Like, that's all they are. If you ever see their tongue, it's a brush. Like, it's so amazing. And that brush is just to lick. Like, it sucks in the juices. So if you think about giving them a seed, there's nothing for it to suck out of that seed. So that's how I also think about when feeding them. I think about, is there a way for them to suck something out of that food, right? And if there's not, then don't give it to them. So I don't have a ratio for what I give them. Majority of the stuff that they get is nectar with fruits and veggies. That's pretty much it. However, I am looking to expand their diet. So like I said, eggs is a definite yes. So that's how I do that. Wet nectar by itself is only given when it's given as a treat. Otherwise it's always mixed with the fruit and veggie mix. So the guy who I got him from does his own food. And I trust this man. Like I said, he's been like, I don't know, godfather in a sense. And so I buy my food now from him. And he mails it to me all the way from British Columbia. I'm in Toronto, for people who don't know. Uh-oh. How did this burst? Someone must have been it. Okay, so it comes like this. This is 1 kilogram. And right now, because I still had a bag, I just put it in my freezer to try and reserve it, because he doesn't use any preservatives. It's all natural, which I absolutely adore. As you guys know, I'm all for the all natural. So this is the wet mix. This is what I use to make the wet mix. So I put 1 part this to 5 parts water, and that's how I mix it. And then I'll mix it with the fruits and veggie. So that's that. He does have a dry mix, which he doesn't recommend usually. So if you go onto the Lorikeet thing on Facebook, they say, oh, they should have wet nectar. They should have dry mix available to them all day with 2 water bowls. So 1 water bowl that they can dip their nectar in to wet it up, and another water bowl that they can actually drink water from. And then, of course, the fruits and the veggies. And if you're giving flowers and stuff like that, then that's great. Unfortunately, I live in Canada. We don't have any bottle brush or gum flowers, and I'm so dying to have some. I really wish there was a way I could get some, because I would really like to see them. I would really like to see them explore with it. But anyhow, oops. This is the dry nectar. he gives me, this is also 1 kilogram. And just like it says, it's dry. So all you literally do is stick it in a bowl, put it in their cage right beside the water, and let them do their thing. My green ape will dip and do all that. This dude, not so much. He's not into that. So I have 1 kilogram, which will probably last me a while. I keep this in the fridge and in my cupboard. So the one I'm using, which is this one, is in my cupboard. And the one that I'm not using is in the fridge. I should ask him if I should put it in the freezer. I'm gonna have to ask him. But yeah, again, like, there's no preservatives, right? So it's something to look out for. It's not for you. No, it's not for you. It's not for you. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is sometimes, not all the time, when I'm making his, oh, I'm sure you're gonna poop on me soon. When I'm making his mix, like the fruits and veggies, if I know that I don't want a smoothie or anything on it, I will put in bee pollen. Now, this is not it's not necessary for them to have bee pollen. I just like it because I know that they're pollen eaters. So for me, it's my way of making sure that they get pollen in their diet, because it is something that they would have in their diet in the wild. And I do try to mimic their diet as much as possible, especially because I don't have the flowers and stuff for them to suck on and do their own stuff. So this is an all-natural bee pollen that one of my friends gave me. I've never actually went to the store to buy it myself. There's no preservatives. It says keep it cool and dry. And so yeah, you could grind this up in a coffee grinder and give it to them. Like I said, I do it in the blender with their fruits and veggie mix, and that's how they get the bee pollen in there. The reason why I give them bee pollen, which everybody says, oh, why do you give them bee pollen? Even on the Lorikeet group, they're like, it's not necessary to be in their diet. It's not, but these are pollen eating. They eat pollen in the wild. They eat nectar in the wild. So that's like we say, why you give them nectar? It's not necessary. What? But they eat it in the wild. So anybody who knows me knows that I try to get as close to the wild, natural environment as possible. So that's why I include the bee pollen every now and then. And then the mix that I was feeding before I started ordering from his breeder. And remember, his breeder is older, so I have to also make sure that they're used to a different type of food just in case something does happen to him, which God, please, no. The reason why I trust this breeder is because all his lorikeets or lories have lived till their late 20s. And anybody know their lifespan is until about 30. So I was like, really? I soak in his advice like there's no tomorrow. So what I was originally feeding was this, right? I have to do some research on it. He believes that they use leftover byproducts from bakeries. So bakery leftover byproducts to make their food. So I don't know if you can see. If you can't see, this jar is almost done. This jar alone is $40. They have a bigger size one that I usually get, but because I'm only giving it to them, I only give them this now as like a treat, just to give them a different taste. I don't put it in their cage anymore. They get his food for their cage food. So yeah, keep away anything that you can't feed regular parrots. Like, if you watch my other posts, I already said this, but I'll just say it again just in case you guys don't want to watch my other posts, because they're both long posts. Avocado, chocolate, caffeinated drinks, the pits of the fruits, and stuff like that. Just stay away from those is what I would do. Everything else, I would also watch anything that's high in iron. I wouldn't give it to them, or if you give it to them in moderation. Meaning, if I give it to them now, I wouldn't give it to them again until maybe like 4 or 5 months later. I don't know. I'm a scaredy cat. I don't want to do anything that might cause them to get sick on me or anything like that. So for me, I wouldn't recommend doing anything that could hurt them in any way, shape, or form. You like this toy? Do you like this toy? Anyways, so that's it on my intake on the Lorikeet diet. It is a little bit more complex than everybody else's diet. However, it can be done, and it's not that hard. Because I know people from researching that do their own mixes. They have lots of mixes out there. I'm learning as I go along, and I'm posting everything. So that's another reason why I think you guys should definitely follow our blog. because the blog will have things up there that I don't have in a video on YouTube, like my smoothie mix. I never even thought of making a video about that. Maybe I will, but all the different type of smoothie mix, I'm more inclined to, take a picture, write it up, put it up there. So definitely join us there, www.parentingparents.com. Please, please, please remember that being a Parenting Parents is not about being a pet owner. It's about being a parent to a toddler in parent form. And also follow us, because I now have 2 new birds, which means I'm documenting everything from training and taming to everything. This little dude, just so you guys know, would not even, I couldn't even put my hand near him when he first came here. He was gonna bite my head off. And so this is a big improvement. A big improvement. And it's only been a month. So I'm really excited. What else do I have to tell you guys? If you guys know anything about the Lorikeet diet or the Lori diet that I haven't mentioned, please, please, please feel free to comment below and let other people know, because I definitely want to keep the information flowing. And if I learn anything else, I will definitely be putting comments down below and adding them into maybe I'll make another video if there's something else for me to add. We are still very new and we are learning, but we are getting there, right? So Lorikeet diet's really simple if you stick to what you do know, which is wet nectar, dry nectar, fruits and veggies. Oh, what I was thinking about the dry nectar. So what the breeder was telling me is that he doesn't feed the dry at all, except for if you know you're not going to make it for the second feeding. So he does 2 feedings. You do the morning feeding and you do the evening feeding. If you know you're not going to make it back in time to give them the evening feeding, that's when you leave dry nectar in their cage and let them have access to it. But otherwise that, you would just stick with the wet nectar. Alright, well, thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe, please subscribe. We do want your subscriptions. Every time when I get one, I'm like, oh my god, I got a subscriber! So definitely subscribe, like, and please comment. Let us know if there's something that we missed, something else that you want us to do a video on. Anything like that, we will definitely do it for you. And if you guys have some name suggestions,